Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. I'm a business, LinkedIn, and podcast coach, as well as a luxury brand consultant, and I help business owners take their brands to the next level by implementing my personal techniques when it comes to growing their service, sales, and social media. Over the past 20 years, I've helped grow multiple brands in the beauty, hospitality, health, and luxury travel markets. I've exceeded all of their expectations, and I'm here to share my tips and tricks on how I did it. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. And trust me, living with an autoimmune disease is never an easy task. So you can definitely expect some pretty crazy stories shared here as well. Don't forget, the after show happens after each episode in the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group, and that's where I'll be every week to answer all of your questions. Now, if you want to hear any of my exclusive news first, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and sign up for my weekly VIP newsletter. Now let's get started with today's show. Hey, you guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I am your host, Kellyanne Gorman, and you are listening to episode number 99. Can you fucking believe that we're almost at 100 episodes? I am so pumped up. Oh my God, I can't even talk. I'm so excited. I am so pumped up about what is in store for this show. But to start off, I just want to say you may or may not be listening on iHeartRADIO, but you can actually listen to every single one of my episodes on that amazing platform, iHeartRADIO. You can listen to it on the app. You can even chat about my show while you're listening with your Facebook plugin. It is fucking unreal. And I have been wanting to be on that platform for quite some time. It was originally on my to-do list and my goal board for 2019, but when I got sick again a couple months ago, I realized, why am I waiting? The time is now. So I pitched it and it's there. I actually had no idea until the other day. I just happened to Google it and I looked on a platform and it was there. It was magically there. And I had been going back and forth via email with their team, and I was just patiently waiting. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And it did. So if you're not really into manifestation, you should probably get into it, because I have manifested that. I can't even explain to you. Like, in the very beginning of the show, I wanted to be on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Spotify, on Stitcher, everywhere, and now on iHeartRADIO. You can literally listen to my podcast on every single podcasting platform now. I have worked my ass off to get it there, and I'm doing this because I want to be able to help as many people as possible, whether it's to be extra strong or be proactive with your health and your autoimmune disease, because I have one and I know that that is best. Or if it's with your personal or professional life, whether it has to do with, in your business, LinkedIn, your podcast, if you're into wanting to up your service, sales, and social media game, I'm your girl, and you are going to want to tune in to what I have in store for you. But before I dive into this show, I want to actually reintroduce myself to you guys. If you haven't really followed me along my journey and you're just listening to this show now, maybe on iHeartRADIO, then I wanted to just kind of introduce myself to you, and that way you kind of get a gist of who I am. And just so you know, you can follow me along on Facebook and Instagram at The Happy Workaholic. I'm always posting on Instagram stories, and you can find me on Twitter at Kellyanne Gorman. And you can just search on the Twitter search bar for The Happy Workaholic, and I will immediately pop up. So I just want to let you know that I have had a very crazy career the last 20 years. I originally started off as a professional makeup artist, and years before that, I worked on a really small cruise line. And when I started doing makeup in Boston, I really wanted to put those two together. I started getting antsy. I wanted to start traveling again, but I wanted to do makeup. So what I did was basically stalk all of the cruise lines out there and ask if they had makeup artist positions anywhere and everywhere. And unfortunately, that position did not exist. So guess what I did? I helped create it. I ended up working on over 20 cruise ships. I was on Royal Caribbean, I was on Carnival, I was on so many other ones, Celebrity Cruise Line, which is one of my favorites. And I was a professional makeup artist. I was training the teams on board. I did makeup for the ice cast, the dance cast, the guest. I was banging out like 25 plus makeups a day. It was so insane, and I loved every minute of it. And from there, growing up, I just always wanted to travel. I was really fortunate I got to do so. And then when I started doing makeup, I realized that I wanted to travel and do that. So I got the fire inside me. I was faxing all of these people back in the day because that's just how we rolled. We send faxes. And I got that job. Like I said, I helped create it, and I sailed around the world. And then after that, I got into the yachting industry, which I held so many different jobs. Again, I was a makeup artist, I was a nanny, I was a cook, I did some deck work. I probably spent 12 to 14 hours in the laundry room at some point. I served the guests. And when you work on a yacht, I'm not sure if you've ever seen that show Below Deck, but that's just like a little piece of the pie. There is drama, yes, indeed. You do live in a teeny tiny little cabin, absolutely, but your mattresses is probably worth like $5,000. The equipment in your room for Wi-Fi, satellite radio, all that jazz, everybody has in their cabins. You are able to sail around the world, but you do work your ass off. And however, that is a trend of mine. I enjoyed every moment working on those yachts. And because I'm American, I was able to get a lot more jobs bouncing around different boats. I worked for a family of friends for a while, so I worked on over 30 motor yachts at the same time. I did work on, I think it was 2 sailing yachts, and that was just not for me. But anyway, so I traveled the world on yachts, and then from yachts, I got into personal assisting and private aviation. So my background before that is actually my family owned a bagel shop. And so from the very beginning of my working career, I was sweeping up bagel seeds and knowing how to work well with customers and being able to provide the best service, and working in so many restaurants throughout my college years and in my 20s. Every job I've had is always based on service. So that is something I've really prided myself and my business on, especially working in hospitality and luxury travel and working one-on-one with clients. You need to be on your A game. You need to make sure you're going above and beyond and creating the best possible service experience for your guests, your customers, and your clients. So you're going to be hearing a lot more of those stories on my show. But that is kind of my background. I've worked in the beauty, business, hospitality, health and wellness, and luxury travel industries. So that is a little bit about me. I lived in Las Vegas for the last 6 years working in luxury travel. I owned a luxury travel company, and then I got sick. So about 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with MS, which was wrong. I was misdiagnosed. I actually have an autoimmune disease called neuromyelitis optica, and that is a very, very rare autoimmune disease, which basically can leave you blind and paralyzed at any given moment. So after going to 5 different neurology teams in Las Vegas, I was able to get the proper diagnosis. My treatment now to prevent me from becoming blind and paralyzed is chemotherapy. So I've had 10 treatments already. I started off every week, then it was every month, and then it went to every 6 months. My last one was supposed to be June, but I have not had it because now I am back to square one. So guys, I'm so sorry I'm talking so fast, but this is just like my life. Like, it's just gone so fast. But if you've been following me along on my NMO journey, I spend a lot of time on my stories posting a lot about it when I'm going to doctor's appointments, just so that I can show the rest of the world and other people that are following me that if you have an autoimmune disease, you can still live and breathe and do the same shit you're used to you're used to doing, but you just have to find a new way of doing it, which is how the Happy Workaholic came into play. Because I had to close the door on my luxury travel business when I got sick. I was writing a book for about 3.5 years, and that is how my podcast actually came to fruition. Because when I was diagnosed with NMO, I was so afraid that all of my hard work over the last 20 years was just going to go away. I'd become blind, and I wouldn't know how to continue writing my book. So I'm incorporating a lot of those stories into this show as well. And there's just so much to say and so much to share that I'm so grateful that I have this platform where if for some reason I were to lose my vision, I can still talk a mile a minute. I can still share what I know. And so what I did was I researched every single thing I possibly could about podcasting. And on my birthday, I decided I'm going to have a fucking podcast. And this was 2 years ago. And here we are on I'm available now. I'm syndicated. The Happy Workaholic Podcast is syndicated on more than 10 platforms now. iHeartRADIO, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. There's so many, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity to share what I know to help others. For other business women and entrepreneurs that are looking for content out there for your business, for your social media, for your LinkedIn, on podcasting, this is where you want to be when you want to find out the information, because I'm going hard on all of that in 2019 than I ever did before, but that is how this whole show started. I thought I was going to become blind the next day, and I was like, shit, how the hell am I going to make money? And so I just started researching, like I just said, and this podcast is my baby. This is my money-making machine. Just putting it out there. And I am now being downloaded and listened to in 41 countries, which is also fucking insane. I'm so sorry I'm dropping the F-bomb, but this is why this show is now explicit, so I don't get in trouble with iTunes or any other syndicating platform. But I like to swear sometimes, or they slip. I've tried really hard not to, but when I'm super pumped up or super pissed off or having a few cocktails, it comes out. So I haven't had my cocktail yet today. I'm also like a mile a minute today because I woke up early. Even after sleeping 12 hours, I'm recording today is Sunday, so it's my meal prep day. So if you're ever looking for some healthy recipes, you can always find those on my highlight reel on my Instagram as well. But I love meal prepping. Today I made some healthy meals. I made a vegan ice cream, chocolate peanut butter vegan ice cream, which I'm like obsessed with, and so many other things like my fresh juice. And then I worked out for about 2 hours. I went to the beach. I talked to a bunch of my friends. And here I am recording. So I'm super pumped up. I'm so excited. And I have so much more to share. So that is kind of a very long story short about who I am, what I've done in the past, and why I am here today, and why I am talking to you, if you're listening still, on my show, the Happy Workaholic Podcast. So now that you know a little bit more about me, I would love for you to come on over to my Facebook group, which is the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group. Come on over and introduce yourself and let us know where you are listening to this show, on what platform. And always feel free to tag me on Instagram so that I can feature you on my stories as well. But what you can expect in the future for this show is episode 100 is the launch of the I Chose This Life series, which is something I've been working on for over a whole year. Health updates. I'll explain a little bit later. But that has kind of always put a damper on my launch date, which is fine. Because it's still going to happen, and it is happening. Episode 100. I cannot wait. So if you want more information on the I Chose This Life series, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com. You can click on the page there. But short and sweet, I'm interviewing over 30 female entrepreneurs. They are going to share with myself and you why they chose this life that they're living right now. What is their story, their journey? What did they do to get them to where they are today? They're going to be inspirational, motivational, and they're definitely going to keep you on your A game and make you feel so much more inspired than you already are. So I cannot wait for that to launch. It's definitely happening. I've already started recording some female entrepreneurs, and I cannot wait to share them with you guys. These women are so inspiring to me, which is why I wanted to share them with you. So that is something that is coming up starting on the next episode 100. So I want to also kind of go over what I'm doing right now and what's going on in my life, like a little recap. So now that I'm on iHeartRADIO, there's a whole new opportunity for podcast sponsorship. And what that means is I record a commercial for you and your brand. And why would you not want to have you and your brand featured on your very own episode? So ladies and gents, if you want any more information on sponsoring your very own episode, just shoot me an email at hello@kellyanngorman. I mean, no, that's not my email anymore because I changed it. It's hello@thehappyworkaholic.com, or feel free to send me a message on Facebook and Instagram at The Happy Workaholic, and I will be more than happy to hop on a phone call with you and see if it's a right fit, and I can send you my deck so that you can see what it is you're getting for your money. But I am now in 41 countries, like I mentioned. I am on every single podcasting platform that there is. And this is a huge opportunity to get you and your brand in front of a brand new audience on multiple syndicated levels. So there's that. Next, I want to tell you that I'm redoing my entire website. So stay tuned for more information and designs on thehappyworkaholic.com. And lastly, I want to share with you guys, I still have my holiday sale going on, and I am doing this until the end of the year. Some people think I'm fucking nuts, but I decided when I was admitted into the hospital a couple weeks ago that the time is now to up my game to help more people than I am already. And that being said, I am offering a 30% discount on every single service that I am doing right now in my brand. So if you're not familiar with the Happy Workaholic Network, that is what I've created and founded about 2 years ago. And why am I saying again? I hate when I get into that habit, that awful habit. Please hold. I'm taking a little sip of my agua. All right. Now you know that I don't edit my I don't edit my shows. Oh my God, I seriously can't talk. So holiday sale, 30% off. If you are looking to up your game before the new year, the time is now. I am ready to help as many small business owners and other online entrepreneurs, such as myself, take their brand to a whole new level. And the Happy Workaholic Network is coaching and consulting for your business, LinkedIn, and podcast. And that is my baby, other than this show. It's, like I said, what I've created and founded a couple years ago. And it's basically taking the last 20 years of my working experience and putting all of my experience and knowledge and service skills I've learned into the Happy Workaholic Network, into a brand that is helping your brand and getting it to that next level that you deserve to be at. So if you are interested in learning any more about the Happy Workaholic Network and any of my sale pricing right now, like I said, it's 30% off until the end of the year. So if you're expecting a Black Friday sale, you're not going to get one because this is way better. And I launched this a couple weeks ago, and I have been slammed working with so many new clients. And that's also why I'm talking a mile a minute, because when I'm super excited, I talk really fast, and I try really hard not to, but that's just how I roll sometimes. So I'm so sorry if I'm talking way too fast for you, but there is a little option if you're listening on your iPhone to slow it down. So you can just slow me down right on your little app. So that is the update on my podcast sponsorship, my website changes, my holiday sale. And lastly, I want to talk about, well, I just said lastly, but this is regarding my health. So as I mentioned earlier, I have an autoimmune disease called neuromyelitis optica, NMO for short. And I have seen a specialist here in San Diego. I moved here for them, and I am seeing somebody at one of the best universities in the country, and I have come across a little speed bump. I'm being told that I no longer have this disease. The lesions in my brain the tumors and lesions in my brain have now gone away, and my spine is also not there anymore either. So I just went and got my blood work done again to see if I test positive for this disease. Apparently, the story is when you are on so many steroids and IV steroids and chemotherapy, they suppress your system so much that your blood work comes back negative. And that has been the case for myself. And it's not happened once, it's happened twice. So I decided to go ahead and get another test done. even though I was just on IV steroids, because I cannot comprehend that I do not have this disease anymore because there is no cure. So, that being said, my next step, other than getting my blood work back, which I'm so anxious about, is to go to the best in the world, who is in Minnesota at the Mayo Clinic. So, yeah, there's that. That's happening in my life. And it kind of threw me for a loop. And I was definitely off my game the last month, but I have been meditating more, working out, eating healthy, and I am just kind of feeling like I'm back to square one, where I was fighting doctors every single day as a full-time job, trying to get the correct diagnosis of my NMO, proving them wrong that I did not have MS, and I was right. So now I either have NMO or I don't have NMO. I really don't know. But I think I still have it in a very rare version. There's different versions of it that are a variant of it. So that's kind of where I think I'm falling under as of right now. And obviously I'm not a doctor, but I do know my body, and I do know my labs and my MRIs and all of that. And I mean, this has literally become a job. So if anybody that's listening right now, if you've been sick, if you have a family member that's been sick, and you have to be, you know that you have to be proactive on your A game and fight with the medical system and doctors to get a correct diagnosis, to get the correct prescription, or whatever the case may be. You have to fight, and you can never ever fucking give up. Because if I did, I would not be here today talking to you. I have risked my life like multiple times, to the point where I literally would not be here. And I've said no to drugs that would have killed me. I've said no to tests that would have killed me. I've went against what my neurologists have said to me and wanted me to do, and that would have killed me. And I went against them, and here I am today. And I think that the reason why I've been on this journey with having NMO is so that I can be strong enough, and I am strong enough. I know I'm strong enough so that I can share what it is that I know to help other people out there. So if that is you, I would love to hear your story. I would love to be able to help you, however that may be. Like I said, just come on over to our Facebook group. It's the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group. As soon as I approve you, introduce yourself. I'm going to be doing a lot more live videos in that private Facebook group. And if you don't want to join us in the Facebook group and introduce yourself, then you could always just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook at the Happy Workaholic. So that is the little recap of my health, because a lot of people have been messaging me because I am very vocal about what's going on, and I just kind of wanted to put it all out there on my show. So, as always, thank you guys so much for listening and writing those reviews on iTunes. And now that you can chat about the show on iHeart, I would love to see your messages. You just log in through your Facebook and it will automatically update with the plugin. You can chit chat while you're there. I think I may get notifications. I'm not sure yet, but I always check every day. And the best place to find me is Facebook and Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot more. And obviously, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find my page right on the happyworkaholic.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show, for tagging your friends, for tagging myself, for those reviews, for just listening. I never thought in the beginning that the show would be where it is today. I thought it was just my outlet. And then I was getting responses and emails from so many people, whether it had to do with your business, your LinkedIn, or your life with an autoimmune disease. My show is very different, and I like it like that because I want to share what I know in my personal and professional life. So why not just put it under the umbrella of my brand as the Happy Workaholic Podcast, right? So, and now my coughing is starting. By the way, if you weren't listening to the last few shows, I had bronchitis for like a month. Legit, like over 30 days actually. So that's why I have my water just as an emergency. Okay, so before I go get my cocktail celebrating this 99th episode, thank you guys so much for listening. Again, it truly means the world to me that you listen to every single episode. Stay tuned for episode 100 coming out next week, with a very special guest. And for more information on the Happy Workaholic Network, myself, or anything else regarding business, LinkedIn, and your podcast, and or my holiday sale, wink, wink, visit thehappyworkaholic.com. Until next time, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you liked this episode, please let me know by writing me a review on iTunes for the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I would truly appreciate it. As I always say, sharing is caring. Don't forget, the after show happens after each episode in the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group. And that is where I am every week to answer all of your questions. Now, just so you know, I have been spending so much time over on my Instagram, and I would love to connect with you over there. You can find me at The Happy Workaholic, and don't forget to tag me when listening to your favorite episode so I can showcase you on my Instagram stories. For any other information regarding the Happy Workaholic Network, leverage your LinkedIn and your podcast production, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that you are having a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again soon.